Hello and welcome. My name is Sharon and this is Trio.of.Witches Tarot, and this is a VR to the tag by Lisa at Supportive Tarot, and it is the 21 Tarot questions. And the first question is, what is the deck they'll have to pry out of your cold, dead hands? And this is my only cheat. I have two decks for this one. The first one I keep in this, as one of those little book box things, and then I decorated it up. And it is my Marielle first edition. Fits perfectly in here, and it sits on my desk at all times in that box. And I trimmed it just a little bit so the borders are smaller, and I edged it in black. And I love this deck. This deck is going to show up in more than one other question, I believe. And this, I got this at the beginning of my tarot journey, and it took me a while to bond with it. And that's a story in other videos I have. But it is my soul deck. Tells me the things I need to know. And then the second one is the Ember and Aura Tarot, which is, I think, 180 degrees from the Marielle, which is why I need two. Maybe also I'm a Gemini. This doesn't shy away from answering hard questions. It just does it in a very gentle, loving way. It does talk a lot about spiritual questions, topics, and I've gone to this many times when I've had those kinds of questions and needed that kind of guidance, which makes sense based on the intention of the creator. I apologize that this is out of print now because the creator changed her spiritual path and doesn't do tarot anymore. So those are my two for question number one. And question number two is, what's your guilty pleasure deck? And it is this crazy little thing, Il Tarocco Bizzarro. It is inexpensive. I got it, I think from Tarot Bulgaria or whatever the name of the site is. And it was maybe $30. It was a little white book. The backs, don't like them, but they're okay. But this is just a bizarre little deck. And it makes me happy. It makes me laugh. And look at those. It's a pip deck, so the pips, mine are not exciting, but the court cards are adorable. It's an adorable little thing. I don't think I really use it to read for myself. I like that. Dragons. Even the pips are cute. So yeah, this is my guilty pleasure. I'm thinking about getting the Usi Eros one. If anybody has one and they're selling it, I'll take it. So that's my deck for the question number two. And question number three is, what's the deck you wish existed? This one took me a little while. I'm happy with most of my decks. I wish that a mermaid deck that had mermaids that are in my head existed, but that's not a thing. What I do wish existed was the Cheimonette in a larger format, because these cards are cute as they are, but some of them just have so much in them that I think even just tarot size, they don't have to be big, would be fabulous. Love this little deck. I just wish it existed in a larger format. So that is my answer to question number three. Question number four is, what deck would you give to a new reader? And my answer to that is the Light Seers. First, because it's an RWS clone, and so you could study with this deck with a multitude of books on the RWS. But more importantly is that whenever I use this to read for other people, and most of the people I read for are in their 30s, 40s, they just love this deck. They want to stare at the cards. They resonate with it. They can relate to the images. So that is my answer to number 4. And number 5 is, what deck do you want to get along with, but it just never clicked? That one is the Hush Tarot. That is my aesthetic. Everything about that should be a deck that I would get along with. But just some of the cards don't seem right for me. I kind of didn't like that some of the cards felt like they were made for the deck and some weren't. Well, not just feel like they weren't. And it just didn't feel cohesive. Another one that I always felt like should be the High Priestess that wasn't. I had it for like 2 days and I sent it back. I just can't with the Hush Tarot. And number 6 is, what deck do you only keep for the art? I don't know that I have any deck that I strictly only keep for the art. I have Yokai Yochi, which I keep because of everything about it, but I don't really read with it because I feel like I need to study this and understand it better, because just looking at the images, I know what the meanings of the cards are, but I don't know what the meanings of these beings in the cards is. So yeah, I would never let this go, but I don't read with it so much. So that is my answer to question number 6. Question number 7 is, what deck did you buy because everyone else did? And that is the Boo Tarot. I don't do cute so much. And this is super, super cute. And I think it's great. I used it at Halloween for tarot readings for kids. They'd pull one card, and every card meant how much candy they would get. I don't know that I would have gotten it had I not seen so many people oohing and eyeing over it and talking about it and wanting it. It is freaking adorable. I don't use it to read for myself, only because I don't do cute. That is my answer to number 7. And question number 8 is, what deck is over your head or just baffles you? So there's some out there that I haven't purchased that do that to me. I don't understand tarot as color, but this is a deck I do have that I have not figured out yet. Tarot of the Holy Light. This is an older deck, and it is collage, and it is crazy AF. Look at that, Queen of Cups. It's amazing. It's an amazing deck, but there's just so much here that I feel overwhelmed by it, and I just haven't sat down and taken the time to read through the little book, which is not a tiny book, and figure this baby out. So right now, he is too much for my little brain. So that is my answer to question number 8. And question number 9 is, what deck surprised you? And that is the Cursed Auguries. It surprises me that I even bought it, because it's super, super pippy, and it's creepy. And, you know, there's just sticks, and there's a lot of blood, and there's these rabbits that are rabid rabbits, and snails, which I do not like, and frogs with frog eggs, and spiders, teeth, this card, and it is just, it's super, super witchy, and it surprises me because I read with this, and she never lies, but she also is very obtuse. She's not just going to give it away to you and say, hey, you know, here's what you need to do today. She holds her secrets very closely. So the Cursed Auguries is a deck that surprised me. Question number 10 is, what deck doesn't really work for you, but you keep it because it's a collectible? And that would be the Lost Forest. Now, this is a very cool deck. It is one of those panorama decks. And it kind of almost, you can almost like do a panorama out of any random set of cards and it works. But so far, it hasn't really worked for me as a tarot. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because of the dragons and the dinosaurs, or, you know, some of these much more empty cards like that. You know, don't really, in general, do dinosaurs or lizards or, that's cool, anything like that. So it's a very cool concept of a deck, and it's very, very beautiful. But if I'm just laying out 3 cards, I have a hard time grasping it. But this is out of print, and so I won't let it go. 1, because it's collectible, and 2, because I hope someday it will click. So that is my answer to number 10. And question number 11 is, what deck is your favorite gilded deck? And it is the Tarot of the Cosmic Seed, going with what is my favorite gilding. Because if you've been here for 5 seconds, you know that I am a magpie and I love gilding. But look at that. That blue is just fab. It's just everything. It's everything. And this is beautiful. I love this deck. It's so colorful. I'm in love with this deck. Probably in part because I freaking love this gilding. So that is my answer to number 11. Number 12 is, what deck do you love but hate the card stock? And that is going to be what's in here, my homemade crocheted bag. It's the Buddha Tarot. I am so angry at this deck. I love Robert M. Place, and I would have every deck of his if I could afford all of them. But this recent printing of the Buddha Tarot is shit. Like, this cardstock is shit. Some of the cards are really thin and floopy. Yes, that's a word, floopy. And some of them are thick. This is a thicker one. And there's 2 different shades of color on the backs, and they come unglued, and you have to glue them back together because they're just the 2 pieces of paper. And I had to trim it because it was just too big, and then edging it was a nightmare, and the edges are chippy, and I don't know, there's probably more things I'm angry at this deck about with this cardstock. Why? So that's my answer to number 12. And question 13 is, what deck gives you the willies? Deviant Moon and the Triumphi decks. I just can't with those faces and stuff, and I just, the faces creep me out on those. And also the Tarot Polka with all those intestines. Oh, that's just gross. And there's not a whole lot that creeps me out. But the intestines, I just can't. So that's my number 13. And number 14 is, what's your favorite deck for shadow work? And this is where the Marielle comes back in, because that's really all she wants to talk about, at least with me. Shit that I don't want to think about, I don't want to talk about, and it's all she wants to talk about. Is, hey, you got these problems and you need to face them. Yeah, this is definitely my shadow work deck. So that is my answer to question 14. And question 15 is, what deck do you love in theory but not in practice? And that would be the Hush Tarot. And I know some people have like relabeled all of the cards, and that just seemed like a lot of effort to me. So that one went back. And question 16 is, what deck would you never use to read for someone else? And that would be the Marielle. For a couple reasons. One, this is like a super personal deck for me. Like, it's my soul deck. This is such an intense deck that I don't read professionally, and I don't know that I would want to go there with somebody. They'd have to be really close, and there would have to be, I don't know, some strict boundaries or something. And then there would be cards that, like this one, that I just wouldn't be comfortable with someone else. So, yeah, I would never use the Marielle for someone else. It's my precious. And question 17 is, what deck would you never use for yourself? Now, never is very absolute, and I am going to exclude that word from my answer. In general, I would not and have not used the Boo Tarot for myself because it's just so cute, and I don't really do cute so much. And I didn't get this deck with the intention of using it for myself. I got it as a fun Halloween deck to, maybe use at parties and use for little kids. But I don't foresee myself using the Boo Tarot for myself. And question 18 is, what deck could you not bring yourself to buy? And this is strictly a financial reasoning. So it is the Carol Herzer Sparkle editions. So I have one card that came with my Carol Herzer deck I got that demonstrates that sparkle. And I think Kasha at Tarot Map, she has one or two of the sparkles. Anyway, they're very expensive. They're beyond the amount of money that I'm willing to spend on a deck. But I do like this. I don't need it. I'm not longing for the sparkle. I'm not feeling bad because I don't have the sparkle. I really like the coloring on this deck. But yeah, I saw them and then I saw the price and I was like, well, that's more than I'm willing to spend on a tarot deck. It's very cool and I understand it's handmade, but I can't. So yeah, that's the deck I couldn't bring myself to buy. And question 19 is, what's your favorite pip deck? And that is the Mythical Creatures Tarot. Because this is the most beautiful deck I own, I think. I think it's the most beautiful deck I own. And I have a lot of decks I think are beautiful. But the pips in this, let's find them. Yeah. So pretty. Look at that. Look at that flower fairy in there. They're just so gorgeous. Yeah. So that is my favorite pip deck, the Mythical Creatures. And question 20 is, what deck slaps you with the truth? And that would be the Brady Tarot. I have the first edition. I prefer the smaller cards and I prefer the white borders. But the artwork in this, the unfaltering commitment to showing nature in its rawest, and the keywords on the cards, just kind of slap me. There's no avoiding the truth with this deck. And to be fair, I think all of my decks do to, some extent more or less kindly, maybe is a better term for that. This one does not apologize, does not hold back, does not sugarcoat it. It's beautiful. I love it. But there's just so much in that card. Defeat, and that I'm going to assume it's a polar bear on, floating on the ice, and yeah. So yes, the Brady Tarot slaps me with the truth. And question 21, the final question, is, what's the deck that got away? And that would be the Lubanco Tarot. There's only, I think, 3 cards that held me back in that deck. And, I kept thinking about it and people kept saying, well, no, you should just get it and work through it. They weren't wrong. And now I'm sorry that it's out of print and I don't know if it'll ever be printed again. Maybe someday I'll be able to trade for it. I'm sorry I let that one go. I should have got it. So yeah, the Lubanco, it got away. So those were all my answers to the 21 tarot questions. And I want to thank Lisa Pepez for starting this because it was really fun. So I hope you enjoyed that. remember to like and subscribe and click on the bell, and take care of yourself. Bye.